We're now going with Munkos. Eduardo Mironov says, hello, I want to thank you for your free tutorials. They help me improve my skills. I'll be very glad if you evaluate my portfolio, and I would like to hear more about the character because I want to move in this direction. I'm also targeting Western studios, and I'll be glad if you give an example of work with which I can at least ask for outsourcing. Okay, so we got a couple of assets here. Let's start with this wheel right here. Again, we're falling into the same thing that we've been talking about, Eduard, which is the simplicity of the assets, right? Like, these are just a bunch of cubes, of course, arranged in a nice motion so we get this wheel, and the textures throw in. Textures definitely need more work. This is not an asset that I would keep on my portfolio because of the simplicity of it, okay? This one right here, it's a lot better. Looks a little bit nicer. I think the presentation could improve. One rule of thumb is if you're going to have an object that has a very dark background or a very dark color by itself, make sure that the background is light, right? Have a little bit more contrast. So if the background is light, this element, by having a darker color, darker color will pop out more, okay? Aryan, what's up, my friend? Welcome. Welcome here to the stream. Everything is going well. But this one's fine. There we go. There's a tri-count. Well, it's not a tri-count, but we at least see a wireframe. Nice size. Yeah, it's a nice one. I'll probably keep that one. This one again, it's so simple, right? It's just a cube, a couple of bevels, maybe a couple of like extrudes and things like that. Too much grungy. This is a very common mistake. When people are doing props, one very common mistake that they do is they do very simple props like this one, where things are just very boxy, right? Like there's no visual interest on the silhouette of the element. And then on the texturing, they just like really fill the texture with a lot of bumpiness. This is not how you're going to be able to achieve a good result. And I can assure you that if we were to look for some walkie-talkie like concept arts, walkie-talkie concept art, you're gonna find a lot of very cool designs that require way more complexity to what you are presenting on your own, right? This is what you're competing against, my friend. This is the level that people are right now doing for their portfolios. So we need to get as close as possible to this level and try to avoid having this very boxy looking elements, okay, Eduard? Now, I know you mentioned that you want to focus on the character, and for that, anatomy, man. We gotta learn anatomy. There's a lot of forms here on the face that we're missing. Let me show you. Oh. Ah, come on. There we go. So in the face, it doesn't matter what kind of ethnicity you have or you're trying to mimic. You're always going to have the zygomatic arc. You're always going to have the zygomatic arc, the jaw lines, the nasolabial fold, right? The little like puppeteer lines over here. We're going to have another line that goes in this direction on the eye. The eye is going to be concave on this area and then convex on this area right here. We're going to have the frontal bone. So there's a lot of like form that we can definitely incorporate into this character. He looks a little bit like Keanu Reeves, to be honest. I'm not sure if you were using him as a reference, but there's definitely more stuff that we need to work on there in the anatomy side of things. I can see that you know the process, you're exploring Marvel's designer, that's great, but even the proportions of the character, he looks a little bit off proportion. And again, it's form. We need to improve a little bit more on the form. Yeah, there we go. Look at this. Here's another one. Very easy feedback. Arms, they're not like this. You can add a little bit more form. We got the deltoid going out, and then they're a little bit more straight in this area. And then we have the muscles on the forearms, right? And then we have the hands. So there's a lot of anatomy. We gotta see the anatomy. We gotta see the latissimus dorsi over there. We gotta see the ribcage border, the obliques, right? The neck going down, the trapezius on the other side. So there's a lot of anatomy things that we need to fix here. If you really want to focus on character, Eduard, you need to learn anatomy. It's fundamental. You cannot skip anatomy, okay? Dabron, sorry my friend, no, we're not accepting any more portfolios. You can join the Discord though, and we open submissions every month. And when the submissions are open, you can submit, and we'll review those on the next portfolio review, which is of course going to be on January. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, everyone, because we got a couple more questions. DJC is also asking about that. On Q Destroyer. Yeah, guys, portfolio review opens up every single month. We don't announce it. It's kind of like a first come, first served basis. So you need to be paying attention to the Discord channel. And when you see it pop up, you just like submit your portfolio. We only accept 30 portfolios per month, and that's what we're reviewing right now. Flick says, how many characters, clean, topo, rig, animated do you think are needed to get a job? You don't need to rig and animate. You can use some auto riggers and some auto animations if you want to, but you really don't need to do that. I would say 4 or 5 is a good number. And I usually recommend 1 male character, 1 female character, 1 monster character, and 1 sort of like creature or animal. By monster, I mean like a bipedal monster, right? Like a Halo Elite or something like that. Not specifically that, but that kind of like alien. And then a creature, usually like a 4-legged creature, like a horse or something similar, so that you show that you can do a little bit of everything.